Here is the Harper house from the Boogeyman, the main house that all the action takes place in. Had a lot of difficulty finding this. I had to replace the audio I made at the location because it just did not come out very well. And the way I found this house was the building in the background, which isn't showing up very well here. But if we switch to Google Maps and try a different time period, there we go. There's the brick building. I was working from a different image, behind the scenes shot of the house that showed the building a little bit better. You could see that there were these long horizontal windows and that it was a brick building. So that was all I had to work with. So I just started going through New Orleans via Google Maps 3D view and looking for various brick buildings that had horizontal windows, and surprisingly there aren't that many. So it took me maybe 15 minutes to find this building. It's the Willow School. And then I just started dropping into the various houses around it. I knew it had to be this side or the other because the other two sides don't match up. And once I found it, I mean, it took maybe 2 or 3 minutes before I plopped right down, and there it was. So here's an overhead shot from early in the film where the family's on the way to Sadie's high school. And I actually found this. So really this is just a flex, but pay attention to these bushes here. Also, you can't really tell from this still, but I'm not going to put an actual clip in because that'll get flagged for copyright. But this is a non-continuous intersection. So a street comes in here and then a street goes out there. So those are rather rare in New Orleans, so they're fairly easy to find. And here's that street. There's those bushes I mentioned. The car drives along this way. It's heading from north to south, and the entire clip lasts about 5 seconds, and I managed to find that in this. So here's the high school from the Boogeyman. They shot 2 or 3 scenes here. They didn't even change the name of it in the film, so this was the easiest find ever. I just Googled the name. There it was. Here we have the building that was used as the doctor's office. They filmed inside this, a little bit outside. Part of an interesting development, all these houses in the background, obviously all built by the same designer, or maybe they're apartments, I don't know. But this is the place where they had that infamous scene with the flashing red light inside. That was great. That was one of my favorite scenes in the film. Now, the way I found this was when the family is leaving, they step out this door and the camera's inside and faces back this way. And you see that house in the background, that unusual house. That is what's known as a riverboat house. And there's only 2 of those left in New Orleans. There's that one there, and the other one is actually directly across the street from it. You can't see it because of the trees, just a tiny little bit. But that was a fairly easy find. Next, we're going to find the location of the underpass scene. This happens right after Sadie leaves the Billings house for the 2nd time, and her father calls her, or maybe she calls her father, I don't remember. Anyways, I had a lot of trouble finding this location because it's so dark, and I was unsure about how many columns were supporting each section of roadway. It looks like 4, and it is, but really in this shot it could be 6, so it's hard to tell. All I had to go on were there's a billboard back here, you can't really see it. There's this yellow sign here. Off screen there's a house that has a couple of dormers, really not much to work with. Until after about a week, I'm slow but I get there, I noticed that there's these 2 beams that stick way out from under the overpass, far wider than they need to, as if they were meant for another construction project and they were just rerouted to this one. There's one on this side, there's also one on the other side that isn't showing up. But once I saw that, then I thought, haha, I have something I can just look at straight down from Google Maps above. That's exactly what I did. Here are those beams that I was talking about. We'll drop right down here Heaslip and Flanders. And there's where she was standing. Here's the little arrow. Here's one of those beams. Here's the other beam. Over here is the house with the two dormers. And it's a good thing I found this, as difficult as it was, because once I found this, I was able to find the Billings house. Working from the assumption that they found the underpass location because they were already in the area filming at another location, hopefully the Billings house, I started searching these various neighborhoods looking for specific telltale signs that I had already found by studying the footage of the Billings house. And it only took me about 5 minutes to get to this location here, where I quickly recognized this green house and the white house across the street from it, and realized that the Billings house must be here. And although in the latest image you can barely see it because of the vegetation, if you go back to January of 2022, you can see it very clearly. And that is the location of the Billings house. But there's one final location, and although you didn't see it in the film, it was very important: the studio. So here we have Starlight Studios. This is the administration building. Next to it, at the other end of the parking lot, there in the back, is the studio building. There was a rumor floating around online that this was where they had filmed the Boogeyman, but I couldn't find any supporting documentation, so I just called the administration building here. I spoke with a charming lady named Ashley, and she confirmed that they did indeed film the Boogeyman here. In fact, she was a set dresser on it before she transitioned over to the administration building. So there you have all the filming locations for the Boogeyman. The addresses are listed in the description below. Please remember to respect privacy when you visit these locations. Stay in the street or on the sidewalk while getting those selfies. Happy scene stalking!